10-4.
Wow.
Ooh, okay. So this is the deal. We are in New Orleans Cemetery. You know why they buried them on top. Because we are completely underwater. Cemeteries. These things are beautiful though. I bet you we looking at $1 million for each one of them. What y'all think?
Oh yeah, or more.
That is crazy.
Recently deceased is going to go in the top shelf. And then as time goes on, they'll be moved down into the bottom shelf and finally into that bottom pit down there. Nope, it's off the top and work their way down. Just the opposite. Because it's hottest at the top. What the tomb doubles as, it doubles as a slow cooker. Right, and that's the idea behind them, and that's why they're so efficient, because they're above ground. They are the same temperature as the air. If you go in the ground, then you've got the ground keeping them cool. So the quickest way to bake a cake is what? Put it in the oven, right?
Yeah.
This is cream and cherry.
Principle.
Is that what they're doing?
I want to say that.
They gave a food for thought. Let's come over here to the shade, ladies.
Is that the reason why they bury them above ground, above the water?
Oh my God.
Because they'll float away.
So big.
At least that's what I was always told. They would float away. So they put them on top. Now you think it costs about 10 or so to bury? I know these things is every bit of probably a few hundred. Look at that.
That's a good idea, right? Bunch of shaggies, that's for sure.
Oh, I have a question. You all have your
See, I gotta
cemetery
do the shaggy
above
where I
ground
can
because of you all not being above below the sea level thing?
Because they'll float away, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Step in the shade now. I'm going to go over all that. We average one funeral a day here by the end of the year. So we're still, of course, the cemetery is huge. You can look back there. There might even be a funeral going on back there that we just don't even see up here. You know, the problem is, originally, we didn't have these above ground tombs. Originally, we did try to bury our dead folk in the ground. The problem with that was every time we turn around with our high water table, numerous floods, grandma would come popping out of the ground. Well, you can imagine 2 or 3 times a year, this would get to be old quick, right? Well, we did all kind of things to get the coffins to stay in the ground, you know. But one of our big problems right off the bat was when we dug a hole 6 foot down, it would fill up with water. Then you throw a coffin in on top of it, of course it's going to float like a boat. So to sink a boat, you put holes in it. We did that with coffins. We put big holes in the bottom. Some people would actually stand up on top of the coffin and hold it underwater. Others would use poles and force it down underwater with poles. Now, here was the problem with doing that. When you force a coffin full of air underwater, that air is going to start escaping, and as the air escaped, it would make a gurgling noise. Well, we shove Grandma underwater, she starts gurgling. That could be a little bit upsetting, right?
Grandma underwater.
People didn't like that too much. The Spanish introduced the above ground tombs. Now in Spain, it's just a different problem for them. For them, they can't dig down because the ground's so hard. For us, the above ground tombs were an ideal way to keep the coffins from popping up and floating off. Now, we quickly found out that besides keeping the coffins from floating off, the above ground tomb also doubles as a little oven. With our high heat and high humidity, in about a year's time, nothing's left but skin and bones. At that point, you can reduce the bones to about a 1 foot square, move them underneath the falls floor, behind a falls back, making way for a second coffin to be slid in. Now, there was a law. In early New Orleans, you had to wait a year and a day before you did try to move a second coffin into the tomb. That was a good idea to have that law, because you can imagine the conversation be something like, well, you know, Aunt May's been dead about 6 months, and it's, gosh, it's been a hot summer. We probably can get Uncle Fred in there now. Trying to compress that May into a smaller area before she was dried out and brittle and crunchy, that might have been a little tough on Aunt May. Kind of like taking a cake out the oven before it was cooked, right? Gets a little messy, right, doesn't it? Look at some of y'all get a good visual. Hey, I'm not making this up. You'll find out if you Google enough, you'll figure it all out. But if you didn't get a good chance to get a visual on that, let me help you. After a year and a day, I'm going to open up this tomb in front of me. We're going to take out the coffin. Don't think I have an empty cigar box. We're going to take out the coffin. We open up the coffin, and sure enough, there is Aunt May in there. Now, ladies, look, she keeps dropping her legs, okay? So I didn't lose her legs. I'm just going to leave them in the coffin, okay? Aunt May's trying to aggravate me by doing that. The coffin's going to get discarded. Aunt May, are you facing forward? Wait a minute. There she goes. Okay, now, Aunt May, we're going to strip Aunt May of her clothing, and then we're going to lay Aunt May over on top of bars. Y'all saw the pit back there. Now, the bars are generally, in the early days, closer together, but with big spaces still, so that as Aunt May continues to deteriorate, eventually she'll fall down into the bottom of the pit. She'll fall between the bars. This is how we started off. However, you can imagine, after a while, just like that gurgling noise was upsetting, after a while, looking down into the bottom of the pit, that could be upsetting, right? Look at all them bones piled up down there. See, now that wasn't very pleasant either, right? So then we started putting them in bags and boxes and organizing it so it didn't look quite so ugly. You know, we put them in sacks and boxes. Today, we still do that. But by law, we don't just use any sack from the corner feed store. Today, we use an official body bag, like CSI type body bag. They put you in a body bag and put a tag on you so we know who's in that bag. If they need to go back today and get DNA, they can do that. And to give you a good idea how that works for me, I'll give you my example. I'm supposed to be in a mausoleum not too far from here, okay? And it's air conditioning, which is nice. I don't know what the hell good it's going to do me, but it's air conditioning. But in that mausoleum, you've got room for 6 coffins, but 12 people are supposed to go in those 6 coffins. Now, the way